Welcome. What is up? Welcome back to the Mixer. I'm your host, RC. Today we will be talking about episode 4 of Drive to Survive Mountain to Climb. A Mountain to Climb. This is the Haas episode, something I was very much looking forward to. And I actually started with this episode. I had a feeling that it was going to be pulled because, Drive to Survive dropped like the week after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, not the Ukraine, and all the oligarchs, including Nikita Mazepin's dad, being sanctioned, restricted, you know, all kinds of, um, all kinds of disruptive stuff thrown his way, including his son not being able to race. Thoughts and prayers, Nikita. But yeah, so let's just get into it. Quick summary: the Haas team looks to reverse its recent fortunes with a new sponsor and two new rookie drivers, Nakita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher. Of course, there's a Haas episode. Struggling to survive as an F1 team, they take on a Russian sponsor and his son who's driving one of their cars. Nikita has a difficult start to the season with numerous incidents and at times feels everyone is out to get him. After spending some time at home with Mazepin in Moscow, the episode's focus shifts onto his home race, the Russian Grand Prix. The episode starts with Gunther climbing mountains during the summer break of Formula One. There's a 3-week summer break mid-season, and yeah, to illustrate that Haas has a lot to do, Gunther goes and climbs a damn mountain. Props to him. We get Lando playing with Nerf guns, which is relatable. Lando play. The dude's 12. No surprise here. We get Will Buxton explaining that Haas needed money, and they turn to a Russian oligarch. And then they cut scene to Gunther, who says he's not an oligarch. He's definitely not an oligarch. He runs a fertilizer business. Awkward smile. Seriously. Yeah. He's an oligarch. Deal with the devil. I mean, there's no other way you can describe the relationship that Haas has with Nikita Mazepin's father. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Mazepin's dad, Urukalai. I thought they were an oil company. I didn't realize they were a fertilizer company. They literally a shitbox. It's literally a shitbox. The Haas last season, at least, sponsored by a fertilizer company. Art imitating reality, right? I mean, if the simulation is behind this, and that was a little Easter egg buried for me personally, that the Haas is a literal shitbox, because I don't even remember seeing that on Formula Dank. Guys, you sleeping on this, or am I just way behind? Probably I'm way behind, just like Nikita Mazepin. But yeah, deal with the devil. How far are you willing to go to do what you want? To stay in Formula One, for Gunther to have a job. I would think he can get another job. Would somebody else done it? If Newman Haas found somebody else to put in Gunther's place, would he have done it? Because it seemed like this is all him. At least that's how the show and my impression in the media was, that this was Gunther going out there banging the drum trying to find sponsors, much like Zach Brown does for McLaren. And, we have representatives in other teams and how they finance the Formula One team. Newman Haas, really, or Gene Haas, I don't know his name. Newman Haas is like the NASCAR team, and it was two guys, right? Newman and Haas, maybe this. I don't know. Haas, he's seems to be keeping this team at an arm length. It was controversial when the car had a Russian flag seemingly on their vehicle, which Gunther's also asked about, and he said, "Oh, it could be anybody. It is red, white, and blue. I mean, that's America. That could be Britain. That could be France. You know, it could be anything. It's non-binary. That the red, white, and blue. You know, it doesn't identify as Russian. We all knew it was a Russian flag. The big controversy about that was I believe it's against either FIA rules, or I know the Olympic Committee does not let Russia's the Russian flag be representative or represented by its athletes because of the doping scandals that continue to happen surrounding Russian athletes. Um, so yeah, the nationalist um, element of that design of their car last year was controversial. It doesn't work. Doesn't work. How do the Brits say controversial? If it's controversy, is it controversial? I don't know. These are the things that keep me up at night. So, yeah, we get a lot of dialogue with Gunther explaining his position. We get Nakita a lot. His dad has like the prototypical Russian villain, flat top haircut, which is great. Um, he says he's not a good guy. Mazepin's father. He at one point he's in the garage with Gunther, the team principal or whatever his title is. He asks him, "We're on radar," which I mean, I just love that. A guy who grew up in the Soviet era, calling like TV coverage radar. I mean, that's just chef's kiss. And Gunther says, "Yes, we are. So no secrets." And then Mazepin immediately says, "Well, I'm no hero." I think to be referencing that, he comes in there with his deep pockets and saves the team. But given certain circumstances, or current circumstances, that phrase carries a lot of weight. Wow. You know, uh, this is the stuff that I love about Formula One. You don't really get it so much in football, soccer. I mean, I guess you do get it more in soccer, but the international appeal and how it interweaves with the rest of the world has always fascinated me. We've talked on the main show about how Formula One goes to all these countries where there are very questionable tactics to build the tracks, and where the money comes from, why are is Formula One traveling to these countries with questionable leadership, non-democratic. This is an American company, Liberty Media, profiting off of putting on the most extravagant sports events in the world in these countries where tracks are built by slaves, basically. So it's like the very worst parts of sport clashing with over overabundance and, I mean, luxury and flashiness and glitz and glamour and all that bullshit, freaking cookie pumpernickel. You know, the diametrically opposed parts of Formula One um, just really fascinates me. So the fact that we have this situation where a literal Russian oligarch is giving money to an American team to go race a freaking car. That is last. Last. And one of the drivers is the son of probably the greatest driver of all time, Michael Schumacher, and the other one is the guy with deep pockets' son, who might be the worst Formula One driver of all time. I mean, there's a lot going on at Haas, for sure. Certainly, if a last place team has ever deserved a full episode in any show of any sport, it's Haas. Would have really liked to see, Hard Knocks with Urban Meyer, the Jacksonville Jaguars. That would have been, super entertaining. No Russian oligarchs there. Just, maybe some questionable oil money in the Jaguars. I don't know. I'm speaking out of turn. I don't know that for a fact, but I know they do have an owner that they keep rumoring to go to London, and there's probably something going on there. Definitely don't look into it. I did not know. When we get some of the background of Mazepin, did not know that Mazepin finished third in Formula 2 for the brand. My man, I wish I would have known that. And then we get an all-time quote from Mazepin: "I will race, and I am here to stay." Well, you race, you would have stayed, I guess. But Russia gonna Russia. It's also stark. Just see, you see the Urukali. I don't know how to say it. You see the sponsorship everywhere. After the the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and all of it being in the news, it's just really kind of ominous to see it everywhere. It just makes you think. I have a freaking wing behind me that says Nissan. What connotations can that have someday? In the 40s, Volkswagen. It's crazy to see how these brands and the corporations can be woven into the rest of the world, and how moving society, creating products, harvesting energy, making food, how all of it is interwoven, and that kind of regardless of the industry, there's going to be people who do some shady shit to produce a good for the world. So yeah. Anyway, it's just like the undertones of that, and that the presence in the episode, I found fascinating. Then we get, Mick Schumacher gets some screen time. Not a pay driver? Is he a pay driver? I think he was an F2 champion before joining Haas. And he gets like 30 seconds of screen time. Like, hey, I'm Mick. My dad's Michael. I drive for Haas. And then we go straight back to Mazepin and how terrible he's doing. I've kind of been critical of Mick last season. Not in a defensive Mazepin by any means. I just feel like Mick should be doing something. These drivers, no matter how the special talents, no matter how shitty of a team they're on, find a moment to shine, and when that moment is presented for Mick, there's nothing there. I mean, maybe that car was really off last year. Maybe he kind of checked out, but through one race this season, another opportunity, the car seems good, and he finishes significantly behind his teammate. I don't know what's going on there. It's still early. He's still young, but it's getting harder for people to make excuses for him, and I'm certainly not one to make excuses for him. I was hoping to get a little more into his mindset with this episode, but we just focused on Nakita Mazepin, which is, I mean, it was entertaining, but not really what I want to see. We get Gunther Steiner. I mean, he's just scraping the barrel for sponsorships. I don't know what that photo shoot was with the boat and the plug-in sauna, whatever the hell it was. I mean, I think it was like a knockoff IKEA, which is like IKEA is just a knockoff of furniture. I don't even know. It's like an upgrade from cardboard. IKEA. I'm not an IKEA fan. The store is just, it's a headache putting together the stuff. Although I am able to assemble things pretty well. I mean, the flat pack and the little witty clip art, freaking instructions. I don't got time for it. I don't got time for it. You know, I'd rather just go on Facebook Marketplace and almost get abducted, like a real, you know, like a real thrift shopper that I am. So yeah, then we get oh yeah, and then we see the pit crew. The Haas pit guys are stretching out. They're like, oh, we're like a family, and they're wearing like, it looks like polos that was made at the nearest freaking t-shirt shop, and they all have like black shorts on, and it looks like they're their own shorts. You know, I've worked at those places where they're like, you have to wear black pants, in a red polo or a blue polo or whatever the hell it is, and you know, you just go out and buy it. So you get everybody, and they kind of look similar, but you know, some people have on Dickies, some people have on black Levi's because they're edgy like that, and even though it says no jeans, they're black. They think they can get away with it. You know, you get the girls that are young that are just wearing their freaking yoga pants, you know, which apparently they're allowed to do. You get some that just wear leggings, and yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, however many employees there are, you get that number of interpretations of what the dress code is. That's what Haas looks like to me in the pit crew doing their stretches, which is great. I love it, but it's just hilarious. Um, but yeah, then we get a cutscene of, of Mazepin and his struggles, which is just great, including a spin at his first corner of his first Formula One race ever. You get Christian Horner on the radio say, just try to avoid Mazepin. He's a fucking disaster. Mazepin asking, why am I so much slower than my teammate? Then he's, you know, he doesn't mince words when being critical of his team and their performance. He says there's no friends here. Kind of weird that his advisor's last name is Carlson. Just of a personal note, felt a little targeted there. Gunther Steiner says, being nice about the situation, it's not going to help me stay here. If we are not united as a team, we are all going to shit. And then Nakita says, make me a new car, basically. So this was in response to his complaints on the radio. And Gunther's basically telling him, you know, that's not really constructive here. And then Nikita's just like, it must be the car. Give me a new car. Really good dialogue by Will Buxton here, explaining that drivers will blame everything, their performance, how it differentiates from their teammate, blame anything possible on the car. And you know, in Nikita's case, it just seems like he doesn't have it. Then, you know, we kind of circle back to the theme of the episode: a mountain to climb. So we get Nakita Mazepin. He's doing some freaking kickboxing training. He's talking to his oligarch trust fund friends. No introduction to who those people are, which is fine. You know, I hope they weren't the ones in his Instagram story from last year. Look that up if you're interested. And yeah, he's like, yeah, we go to my home race, right? We're going to my home race, Russia. We get an awesome scene of him walking through the hotel. He runs into, what was it, a starfish? And Sochi's like, yeah, like it must be Russia. Like there's a guy in a freaking starfish mascot costume. Not a fan of mascots. It's like only in Russia. It's like, oh, yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, only in Russia. Sure. Um, I mean, it was nice for him to show a little personality and make a joke there, but weird, weird to say the least. Selfie sticks. Everybody in Russia has selfie sticks. Apparently, they're not banned there. So, yeah, I mean, we selfie sticks had a hell of a run, a hell of a like a 6 month run here. Couldn't go anywhere without seeing a shit ton of selfie sticks. Now they're all gone. Maybe people just didn't like being that asshole. I live in a tourist city. I haven't seen a selfie stick since the first Trump administration. Oh wait, there's only one. That's right. Sorry. Don't get triggered, libs. Um, so yeah, there's, and I can't help but think everybody's taking pics with Mazepin. Like, who wants to? I mean, I guess it's Russia, but I mean, what are you doing with that? You just gonna roast the guy on Instagram? Because yeah, I mean, I wonder if he like has a person that goes through that. But at some point, Nakita, don't set yourself up for that, man. Just tell him no. Tell him no. Like you're busy. You're running late. You got to spin somewhere. Um, we get a little bit about Lando and how he stayed out and lost the race. I mean, that shit was crazy. I don't know if we get more of that later in the season. I've kind of watched ahead and it doesn't look like it. So disappointing that yet another race that was crazy and had all kinds of drama kind of gets brushed over, especially in this case because we're covering Nakita Mazepin at the Russian Grand Prix. And his big turnaround was knowing the weather. Knowing the weather. he you know, he's like, "Oh, we should go on inners. It looks the clouds are gray." He says, "I know when the clouds are like that, like black as hell and heading this way, that it's gonna rain." It's like, yeah, I mean the guys on the wall, they have radar, and I'm sure they're looking at that. Maybe his dad is afraid of radar, because of that initial scene. So they didn't want radar. They're like, no radar, no TV. I don't care what you call it. Just keep it at a distance. Nakita knows the weather. He can look at clouds. He knows it's going to rain in 2 minutes or whatever the hell he said. And then if I remember correctly, he comes in like way early, and I think they show him going on the track. The track is fucking dry. So, you know, yeah, you knew it was going to rain, but like, he came in a little early, methinks. Um, so yeah, and I mean, we get the drama of the other drivers, and Nakita. I don't think he made up a single position. I don't think he made up a single position after that. Yeah, I mean, they brought. I remember that race. They brought everybody in once it did start to rain, and not too many people lost a lot of time, but obviously Lando stayed out too long, so his bad. And I think was it Vettel did too. Vettel stayed out too long. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I mean Nikita supposedly had this huge advantage because he's freaking Aloha Taylor of the Formula One grid, at least as far as Russia goes. And you know they come on the radio and they're like, "Okay, you beat Mick, who crashed, and Latifi, who I can't remember what happened, but like so at best, Nikita got one spot and finished like what P18 or something in his home race." Where he supposedly made a great call, and then he even like even reaches out for affirmation and says, "Oh yeah, that was a good call going on tires early." He's like, yeah, yeah, we definitely went on those earlier than anybody else. Yeah, good call." That's Haas. That's Mazepin for you. Um, and then it ends with with Gunther being at the top of the mountain, and after having this kind of deal with the devil theme with the Mazepin family, and he's standing in front of a cross. I mean, it's a little too on the nose for me. The symbolism. I don't even. I mean, it had to be intentional, right? But yeah, it just it just came off as weird. It was really weird. I mean, just like Haas's relationship with these oligarchs. Yeah, really interested to see what happens with Haas this year. They used all that Russian oligarch money to create a pretty kick-ass car, by the looks of it. So I'm sure there'll be lawsuits. I mean, I don't know how that works out, but I'm here for it. I thank God there won't be this much Mazepin content next year. But at the same time, I'm sad to see it go. That's episode 4. Episode 5 next. Till then, toodaloo!